In the world of indie MMORPGs, we tend to see projects that have a lot of similar assets. Typically, it's animations and icons used from the Unity Assets store. And I get it, making an MMO is not an easy task, but it gets a little tiring when you load up a promising new indie MMO, and it's got all the same icons or animations you've seen time and time again. So when you find a game that has completely made everything from scratch, as you can imagine, it's a breath of fresh air in the indie scene. Introducing All Mage, a brand new 2D MMO. Obviously inspired by the long-standing legendary MapleStory, All Mage sets to be a brand new alternative to the 2D side-scrolling MMO market. Now, the game is essentially in alpha/beta testing, with the devs stating it's pretty far off from release. In fact, All Mage wasn't even really known about until one of the developers posted on Reddit advertising the game. Once I saw that Reddit post though, it immediately piqued my interest, with the incredibly charming graphics being the main appeal. And I wasn't the only one, as some other content creators also hopped in to check the game out. So I went to the website, downloaded the game, and played about 10 hours or so. So is All Mage something to look forward to? Let's talk about it. So to start off with things, All Mage is completely free to play with about 5 to 10 hours worth of content currently. The game does have a cash shop, which I know probably sets off some red flags since the game is basically in pre-early access, but the premium items you can buy are just cosmetic outfits with no stats, which if I'm being completely honest, only a few of them actually look cool in my opinion, and they are super cheap with items only being about $2 to $3 each. Anyways, the game can be downloaded from their website, but since the game is so early in development, it's worth noting that there isn't a proper launcher for it yet. So the game doesn't check for updates or have a proper signature for Windows to check for authorization. Game-wise, once you launch the game and create your accounts, you can then create your character. Character creation is a bit funny considering your character is just straight up naked here, something they should probably address at some point in the future. Customization wise, there is a good bit of options here ranging from skin tone, eyes, hair, mouth, and colors. Once you create your character, there is a super short tutorial that will quickly teach you movement and interactions. Within the first few minutes, you'll be picking up quests, exploring maps, fighting enemies, collecting loot, and leveling up. Straight to the point, which is something I really like. If you are a fan of MapleStory, Latale, Wonder King, Windslayer, basically any MapleStory like, All Mage will make you feel right at home. The presentation of the game is quite stellar, having some really eye-catching pixel graphics. Environments are colorful and have quite a lot of detail in its presentation. You can tell a lot of work went into how each map is presented. Characters, NPCs, and enemies all have very expressive animations and personality, which is such an appreciated change in comparison to many of the indie MMO projects that have come out in the past few years. The UI is a bit cluttered, but at least all the items, spells, and graphics are completely unique. Even the few music tracks available are catchy and memorable, which makes me excited to see what they have in development. Movement feels just right, especially after the developers adjusted it recently. Previously, movement was really slow and clunky, but the devs were quick to address this, and now it's much better. Combat is a bit stiff, especially at early levels, but as you level up, get stronger, and unlock better movement options, combat progressively gets better. Leveling up earns you some slight stat boosts and skill points that can be spent in spells that you learn as you level. I recommend maxing the energy ball spell as soon as possible, since the melee attacks are pretty useless, and most of the other spells aren't really helpful until you get a bit higher in level. I'd also recommend doing all the quests you can as soon as they become available, to get potions, money, items, and more importantly, in some cases, gear. Gear actually has a satisfying progression curve to it here. Monster drops are super exciting when something valuable drops, with each enemy largely having at least one unique item that's worth farming farming for. Each item has options for min-maxing since stats and gem slots are randomized, so if you really want to spend time farming the best possible gear, you can. Enemies also have a chance to drop their spirit, which allows you to summon them for passive stat bonuses, giving even more incentive to farm specific enemies. Plus, you get a cute little spirit animal following you around if you get lucky enough to get their spirit drop. I was actually quite surprised at how much depth there is here for a game in such early development. I found myself grinding for specific monster drops, just like I did back in the day with MapleStory and other MMORPGs. Now, All Mage does have a weird quirk to it. Every player is a mage class, hence the name All Mage. Sadly, that means no rogue, no warrior, no archers, or any other class for that matter. However, the developers have stated that they plan to add secondary classes within the mage themes as you progress. So for example, you start the game as a normal mage, but once you progress to second job, you can become a water mage or a fire mage, and so on. Technically, for people who want something like a rogue or a warrior, the developers could add some sort of quote-unquote magic school that fits into those class themes, like say a sword mage or a cunning wind mage that uses daggers. So while the all mage theme of the game is a bit restrictive, the developers could eventually add some options that players who want to play something besides a mage could enjoy. Now, if you want to jump into All Mage, the game, as I said before, only has about 5 to 10 hours worth of content right now. Currently, there is 2 biomes to explore, which is the forest and the caves. 1 dungeon party quest to tackle with a spider boss to fight, an area boss that you can fight which is the giant boar, 15 unique enemies in total, 20 plus quests to complete, a simple player-owned housing system that you can decorate and invite other players to, a crafting system with recipes you can learn, and a familiar system with the spirits dropped from enemies. Content pretty much stops around level 20, so if you are looking to play All Mage a ton, you'll run out of stuff to do relatively quickly. I suppose you could stretch that time out by collecting every familiar spirit, recipe, and unique drop. You can also fully decorate your player-owned house, as well as collect all the cosmetic items. Speaking of cosmetics, another thing that makes the cash shop even less of a worry is that the game throws plenty of cosmetic items at you for free. Almost every enemy in the game has a cosmetic item drop that you can collect, and a lot of the items in the cosmetic shop can be purchased with in-game money. There is really only a handful of cosmetic sets that are premium currency only, and as I said before, each item is only a couple bucks each. Personally, I loved the 10 hours or so I played. I was thoroughly hooked, and when I experienced everything the game had to offer, I wanted more. The party quest in the caves especially reminded me of the first time I played the Kerning City party quest. It was just fun running through a simple dungeon with new friends. Shoutouts to Ryan, Gloomaroo, and Dino Fries. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this game, and I wish the devs the best of luck on their project. So have you played All Mage? After watching this video, do you want to give it a shot? Comment below and let me know. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel to support my content. Follow all my social media links in the description below, and I hope to see you all next time.